Welcome to the Craft of Coaching podcast, where we dive into what it truly takes to become a skilled, confident life coach. I'm your host, Kate, head of the CLCC, or Certified Life Coach Collective, an ICF-Accredited Level 1 coach training program. We combine courage, coaching, and community to offer you more than just a training program, but a life-changing experience where you use your own personal transformation as the learning ground for supporting your clients. On this podcast, we explore how you can use coaching skills to support your clients or expand your own growth, all grounded in evidence-based coaching practices. Learn more about our program and get free resources for becoming a life coach at teamclcc.com. And now, here's today's episode. Hello, everybody. So my last episode was all about clarifying your coaching philosophy. This episode is going to be about crafting a business vision. So I mentioned in the last episode that I don't want the Craft of Coaching podcast to be about marketing. There are a gazillion great marketing podcasts out there. And while I might occasionally spot touch on some marketing concepts, it's not my aim for this podcast to be about marketing strategy or implementation. I want the podcast to be about literally the craft of coaching, the journey of being a professional coach, personally, what it's like to navigate being a professional coach, because it can get weird sometimes when your life is your work and your work is your life, and the boundaries between the two get a little bit blurry in good ways and sometimes complicated ways. Today, though, I'm going to talk about crafting a business vision, and I'm thinking of this not as like make your goals for the year for your business and how much money you want to make, but more so how you can set a course for yourself around what am I actually doing with my business beyond just trying to pay my bills. So I'm going to offer a couple of insights or ways of thinking of this that I've learned over the years. For a little bit of context, when I first started as a coach, literally, I was just like everybody else who starts out as a coach. I finished my coach training. I carved out time for client work. I was still working a salary job alongside the client work. Here's how long I've been a coach. When I first started as a coach, I took checks. I'm kind of laughing at this. Like, people had to mail in checks. People had to print agreements and sign them and mail them to my P.O. box. It's so cute when I think of myself as a little baby coach. That's my baby voice. That's how I talk to my dog, in case you're wondering.
My little baby voice, because she's such a cute puppy.
All right. Hopefully you're laughing with me, not at me. Or hey, if you want to laugh at me, that's okay too. So I had no business vision beyond simply a pervasive feeling of, I love this work, and how do I find clients so I can do more of it? I love this work. How do I find clients so I can do more of it? And every month felt different. There was no cohesive through line. There was no larger purpose to why I was doing this that I could articulate. I felt the larger purpose. And that is something that I've found to be very common among coaches who are considering training, who are in training, who are becoming coaches. They can't quite say why they want to be a coach exactly beyond, I want to help people. And that sometimes feels inadequate because what they feel in their bodies about this journey of helping people is so much bigger. It's just so much bigger than just, I want to help people. It's like love in some ways. How do you ever put the exact perfect right words on love? So if you resonate with that at all, if you're thinking to yourself, I know that there's something about being a coach that feels bigger than just, I want to help people. Well, great. You can, by the way, hang out in I want to help people as a very noble purpose for your business for a really long time. You don't have to dress that up. I'm talking today about crafting a business vision because I think we need to merge a little bit more with the purpose and the finances. What I find is that most coaches tend to emphasize one over the other, and how do we pull those two together? So, okay, crafting a business vision, you could listen to this podcast episode with a pen and paper, write down a couple things. It's always my favorite way to listen to podcast episodes. I like taking notes. I'm a note taker. Or if you're in the car, you could just contemplate some of what I'll talk about today. Just, of course, everybody be safe. Don't do anything dangerous. Don't try to drive and write and text all at the same time. So first thing, crafting a business vision, I think, is about articulating the purpose of your business or who you want to serve. The struggle to define a business's purpose, or the stress maybe about defining a business purpose, is on par with the stress people feel about defining a life purpose. If you have ever worked with clients who are going, I don't know what my life purpose is and I'm freaking out, you know what I'm talking about here. So I think that we all do ourselves a favor when we keep it super simple. For instance, life purpose, I just go, we're here to be in the mystery of it all and to experience joy. That's it. I don't have some dressed up thing like a corporate mission statement. I wake up each day fulfilled with vigor so that I can intentionally and consciously serve people who live in these circumstances to the best of my ability and for the highest fulfillment of all. It's just, no, that's not how I roll. And if it's how you roll, it's cool. I don't put that down. I mean, if that's what someone feels is their highest purpose and the best way to articulate it, bravo. I'm so over it. If you haven't picked up on this, I'm so over it with this thing, this condescending thing of, which probably means I do it in my life because clearly it triggers me. But so I probably do it unconsciously, and I apologize for any places where you can think of another episode where I've very clearly been exhibiting the behavior I'm claiming to be over here, but I'm very over it with this idea that when we express ourselves, it means somebody else's expression has to be like, oh my God, so stupid. So amen on that. So for me, and if it resonates for you, purpose, keeping it simple. So what's the purpose for you in your coaching business? It might be the same as your purpose for your life. That's okay too. But specifically for your business, I see my business's purpose as being about creating a world where people do not live in their fear. Creating a world where people live from courage, not fear. Super simple. Who I serve? People would say, you got to get this super detailed and defined. And for sure, I have sat down and I've thought about some of the specifics of what this looks like. But at its most elemental level, who I serve is whoever's hungry. That's how I see it. I'd rather work with someone who's hungry for the work any day of the week than I would someone who's too cool for school with the self-help, but they happen to fit the most common demographic of who I work with. So take a moment, write it down, journal it. What is the purpose of your business? And I'm talking about purpose from a place of fulfillment, of the emotional gratification. What lights you up? What are you a stand for in the world? Those are other questions I've considered before. What is your business's purpose? And who do you most want to serve? And I don't think the service question has to be a demographic one. I also don't think it's wrong if it is a demographic one for you. If you want to be really clear, I serve middle managers who are starting a second act in a new industry. Okay. I serve stay-at-home moms who have more than one kid. Okay, that's okay too. So pause this or contemplate it. Do what you need to do to really identify what's the purpose for my business. Who do I want to serve? Okay, now I'm going to assume that you have taken some time to think about purpose and who you serve. Let's get into a next piece of a business vision. And this might be the edge for some people. For some people, the first one was the edge, or it was easy. Here's potentially the edge for other people, and it's the financial. You got to look at the numbers. You got to look at the money, honey. This isn't bad. This doesn't make you schmarmy. You're not a bad person because you want to do work that you love and you want to make money for it, good money for it, paying those bills money for it. You got to look at the money, honey, because this is a business. If you are not looking at the money, if you are trying to make all of your business vision about your purpose and who you serve and just, that money stuff, it's so superficial. Money doesn't really matter. It's not, if you want to do all that, okay. Some people, they do great with that. Okay. Not knocking that. And for most people, if you don't pay attention to the money because you think it's dirty or schmarmy or superficial or any of that stuff, you are not going to have a business. You are going to be a volunteer soon. That's what's going to happen. So you got to look at the financial piece. And so in alignment with supporting your purpose, supporting who you serve, how much money are you going to be making? And that's a big question to ask. And there are so many coach training programs I've seen where they encourage their trainees to don't undervalue yourself. You got to charge what you're worth. And then the trainees go out and they graduate and then they go, you know what? If I really believe in myself, if I don't have a scarcity mindset, I'm going to charge $500 an hour for my coaching. I'm going to charge $7,000 for a 2-month package with me because I'm worth it. And there's all that. But underneath it all, there's like all this fear and anxiety about, oh my God, how am I ever going to charge that? Who's going to pay me that? And that becomes really problematic. I actually believe that if a coach comes out of coach training setting their rates too high, they run into a very sticky problem. And I saw this firsthand because before I was running a coach training organization, I run the Courageous Living Coach Certification team, CLCC.com. I did business consulting. And I have lost count of how many coaches came to me for business and marketing consulting, and we were sitting down, we're looking at all their practices. We're also looking at the numbers. What are the numbers? How much you making? How much you charge? And all that stuff. Who are you targeting? And they charge straight out of coaching school, $250 an hour to coach with them. And then they couldn't get clients, or maybe they could get 1 or 2, but 1 or 2 clients wasn't paying their bills. And then they were running into the problem of, okay, I'm getting feedback from people that they really liked the intro session they had with me, but they can't pay me more. And I can't lower my rates without these clients, the 1 or 2 who have signed on, saying, hey, why are you offering these other people coaching for less money than what you're charging me? So I prefer and teach the model of build it organically. At first, charge $25 an hour while you're in coach training. And I know that sounds really low to a lot of people. And then you move it up to $50 when you graduate. And sometimes I think people forget $50 an hour is still a lot of money per hour. The minimum wage in a lot of places in the United States is still $7.50. $50 an hour for doing work that you love, and you don't have to have a brick and mortar office to do it. You basically just need a phone line and an internet connection. This is not the worst business model in the world. And you don't stay there forever. At $50 an hour, you build up clients and you build up momentum and you get referrals, and then you charge $75, or you move to $100, or you move to $150. Like, you build it up from there. I have talked about this in other episodes of the Craft of Coaching podcast. I won't belabor the point much longer, I promise. But I interviewed, when I created my digital marketing program called The Coaching Blueprint, you can find out more about that at coachingblueprint.com. I interviewed a number of, at the time, new and emerging coaches, because I created the program in 2010, which, if anyone's counting, was 11 years ago. Yes, I've been a coach that long. And I interviewed a number of coaches who at the time were not making 6 figures. And they all started, for the most part, I suppose there are 1 or 2 exceptions I can think of, but they all started at the lower end and then just raised rates organically from there. There once upon a time was a day when you could hire any of the coaches that I interviewed from the Coaching Blueprint for like $50. They don't charge those rates anymore because they built it over time. So in any event, okay, how much money do you want to charge for your services? Let's dial into that aspect of the financial piece. How much money do you want to charge for coaching someone for an hour? And define it as what would feel good for you to charge and what you know the market will bear, because you have to take that into consideration as well. You want to charge $10,000 an hour for your coaching, you go on and do it, but you need to be aware probably only, I don't know, Tony Robbins is getting that kind of money. You're not likely to find people, or very many of them, who are willing to pay you $10,000 an hour. And this is not a money mindset issue that I have. I have had angry coaches email me before when I've said these things publicly in interviews, and they're like, you have money mindset problem. No, I don't. I'm just looking at what the market will bear. I don't think you go out and you pay $50 a roll for toilet paper. That's not a money mindset issue. That's just who's going to pay $50 an hour for toilet paper. So it's a combination of what feels good for you to charge for your time and what the market will support, what the market will bear, and a little bit of an edge. Just a little bit. Like just a little bit of it feels a little audacious to charge this much money. And that's your hourly rate. And then you ask yourself, if you want to do the package model, what you would include in a package. I'm not a fan of the package model, but lots of people are, and okay, that's fine. So what are those confluence of factors? And you got to define the money. After you've defined what it's going to be for your hourly rate, start setting an annual goal. Straight out of coaching school, I don't recommend setting a goal of I'm going to make six figures unless you are going to go after that goal like your hair is on fire and you need water. And if you want to, if it enlivens you to go after that goal with that kind of energy, wonderful. But if the thought of pursuing a goal like making six figures your first year out of coaching school has you feel like you are just going to be constantly stressed out and hustling and burned out and overworking, don't do it. And then the last thing I'll say is I'm going to call out something that I see happening in the coaching industry because this is tied to what people think they should set for their goals. And it is the swapping of coaching to inflate how much money you're making. I have probably mentioned this on another Craft of Coaching episode, but I'm just going to say there are people who I have worked with before and they're going, I see this other coach and they're going, I made $10,000 a month, my first month coaching, and this is why you should work with me. And here's my marketing program and I'm going to lay it out for you and da-da-da. And if they really did make $10,000 a month, their first month coaching, great. I hope that's true. There are a lot of people who are saying that, and they can show you the bank statement that says they made $10,000 a month or whatever it is, 50,000 or a million, or I'm not picking on a particular number, but a big number for your first month out of training. And what they did was they paid someone else 10,000 G's to coach them. And that person swapped with them and paid them 10,000 G's to coach them. See what I'm saying here? If I give you, listener, $5 and you give me $5, then technically nobody has spent more than they've earned. It's not going to cause a tax liability issue. But I would be able to hold up a bank statement and say, look, everybody, I made $5. Well, that happens in the coaching industry. Really. And then people go out and they sell these programs. They're like, this is how I made $1 gazillion in my first year of coaching. Oh my God. And it's like they sold to people who paid them. Like, you have to look at what the actual profit is at the end of the day. I don't want to see a bank statement that says somebody made that much. I don't want to hear about somebody getting up on a stage and saying, here's how much I made. I want to see the profit and loss statement before I buy any of those claims. How much did you spend to get there? You can call yourself $1 million coach because $1 million gross came in the door, but you ain't $1 million coach if you spent $1.5 million to get there. So I bring this up again because I see coaches who do the comparison thing with other people's numbers. They aren't actually tuning in to who they are in their coaching journey, what they feel comfortable charging financially, what the market will bear, and what just a little bit of a stretch is. They're not going internal. They're looking at what somebody else is showing, the big flashy, look at me and look what and it's all smoke and mirrors, and they don't know that. So great life advice, great coaching advice. Go within. All right, so I've talked about purpose and who you serve, and I've talked about the financial piece. What is it you want to charge for an hour of your time, and or what are your larger annual goals for your income? And I suppose actually before I move on to the next piece, the last thing I'll say is with annual goals, don't try to make it equal by quarter. Don't go, oh, I've set a goal of making, I'm just going to, go with, okay, $10,000 this year from my coaching business. Oh, I didn't make $2,500 during quarter one. It must mean I'm not on track. No. You could get like gazillion clients in quarter four. So you're making that annual goal. And absolutely, if you think that there is a money mindset issue that you need to confront, dive into that. Get some coaching around that. A book that I really found confronting myself and therefore valuable was Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass at Making Money. There are some statements and affirmations she has in there about, I love money and I deserve a lot of it and all that. And for me, it felt edgy. And then after doing some of the exercises, it didn't feel so edgy. So purpose and who you serve, financial. All right, here we go. Next piece that you want to define for crafting your business vision. And this is probably not going to take you too much time, but what are the key services that fulfill both your purpose and the financial pieces of your business? Key services, as in services you provide. And I mean, we can lump, technically it's not a service if you have a digital program, but providing the digital program is the service. You can just lump it all into the same basket. So one-on-one coaching, that is a key service you provide that both fulfills your business vision in the area of purpose and fulfills your business vision in the area of your finances, of the money. If you've developed a group coaching program, that is a key service you provide that fulfills purpose and the finances. If you have crafted a downloadable digital product, that is a key service that you are providing that fulfills the purpose and the financial. It needs to do both. And if you find, as you are jotting down some of the key services that you either want to develop or already have developed, that you provide or will provide, if you are finding that as you write it down, you think, this makes me some money, but I don't really like doing it. Guess what? It's hitting the finances. It's not hitting purpose. Or if you're writing it down and you're going, oh, I love doing that so much, but not making any money. Guess what? It's hitting purpose. It's not hitting finances. You can solve those problems. If something's making you money, but it doesn't feel very purposeful, you can ask yourself, how can this be more purposeful? If something is feeling purposeful, but it's not making you a lot of money, you can ask yourself, what do I need to do to make more money? Now I'm going to move into key actions. So I know I keep pausing to summarize this, but I want this podcast episode in some ways to feel almost like a facilitated webinar or something where you come away at the end with an articulated business vision. So what is your purpose? Who do you serve? What are the financials of what you want to make in an hour and what you want to make in a year? What are the key services that fulfill both your purpose and the financials? And now, what are the key actions that fulfill purpose and your financials? Key actions are where we get into your marketing strategy, the things you do to market what you do. So an example for me would be I show up on social media. That is a key action that fulfills purpose and finances. For some people, so showing up on social media is tricky. It's a feeling of, it's a lot of visibility. And I got to raise my hand and just say, for me at first on social media, it felt the same way. It felt completely the same way, especially when we start getting into Instagram and podcasting. I'm so much more in my comfort zone when I am just hanging out in my office, my little introverted heaven, and I'm typing a blog post. But that is not the direction in which the world of marketing has gone. The world of marketing, by and large, does not primarily support just typing up some blog posts. There's more visibility required. Now, can you find a way to have a business where you don't have to be as visible? Sure, you can. Of course, I'm just saying generally. There's more of a move to video. There's more of a move to audio. There's more of a move to photos. And so I've just moved with the times, even though it was deeply uncomfortable for me to do at first. So the key actions that fulfill both purpose and finances are, for me, social media. And the purpose, I've actually defined a purpose for social media for myself so that it feels a little, more purposeful, which is I love the idea that something I share on social media might hit at that just right moment for someone who is struggling with that particular issue. So if I write a blog post for yourcourageouslife.com, and it is about redefining your relationship with money, and I share it on a particular day, if I just go, oh God, I got to do this for the money. I got to do it because I got to figure out a way to make my business run. And that's how you do it. You got to get the stuff out there on social media or else you're not going to get any clients. And first of all, in my little role play here of how it sounded in my head when I first began sharing on social media, a little window into my own struggles with fear, because I'm not a guru. I struggle with it too. It's so stressful to approach social media that way. It's so much more fulfilling to say, okay, I'm a little bit uncomfortable sharing this. But you know what? How cool would it be if my piece on 1,443 words on money that could change your life, actual title of a piece, hit someone in that just right way today and they went, you know what? This thing about money, where I've been afraid about money, now I can practice more courage with money. Because I've had that experience personally before where someone shares something incredibly poignant and I go, oh, okay. That's how I feel about showing up more on video. That's how I feel when I show up for somebody else's podcast, when I'm interviewed. That's how I feel when I'm recording this podcast. My hope is that there is somebody who is going to listen to this podcast today and they're going to go, I feel like I kind of know what I'm doing with my business now. I have a vision for my business now. It feels good. Yay. That is purpose-filled. It's also tied to finances, which is I do the Craft of Coaching podcast in part because I want to share about my perspective on coaching and the industry. And if there is somebody who's considering different coaching programs, if my perspective on coaching in the industry resonates, they might go, you know what? I want to check out the Courageous Living Coach certification. And if you don't, that's okay with me. A lot of CLCC grads, by the way, listen to this podcast. And so there's no financial aim in it at that point. But, I'm combining the two. This is okay. It is okay for you to say, I am not just running a business or showing up on social media or creating a podcast or doing a YouTube channel or purely for my own gratification. The gratification is important, and here's how it ties into the actual money piece that is critical for running a business, because they go hand in hand. In other words, whatever key actions, make sure that they are an extension of both your purpose for your business and the finances. So I'm going to summarize one more time. You have gotten well on your way to crafting a business vision if you can articulate the purpose for your business and who you want to serve, the finances, what you want to make per hour, what you want to do in a year. The key services that fulfill that purpose, coaching, group programs, and the key actions that fulfill that purpose and your finances. So what are you going to do in terms of marketing to direct someone to the key services that you provide? Are you going to show up on social? Are you going to do webinars? You're going to do a podcast? You're going to do meet and greets, brown bag lunches, speaking, TED Talks, getting interviewed on the Today Show, whatever it's going to be. How do all of those things come together? And if you want to take it just one step further with crafting that business vision, you could then listen to another Craft of Coaching episode that I created on setting annual and quarterly goals for coaches. And you could start putting some of this into action steps and breaking it down by quarter and saying, here's what I want to create this quarter, another quarter. And even if you're listening to this at the end of the year, hey, you don't have to start in January to set a quarterly goal. You could say, hey, there's X number of days left in the quarter I'm in. No time like the present to get started. All right, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Before you go, would you help us out and take a moment to give us a rating in iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're listening? It really helps us get the word out to other listeners. And before you go today, would you like free resources to support your coaching journey? Whether you're considering becoming a coach or you want advanced coach skills training, access our coaching resource library at teamclcc.com. Again, that's teamclcc.com. Can't wait to connect with you. And again, thanks for listening.